All right, we got a crazy one here. This really nice classical guitar that was handmade here in Denver. I think it was in Denver, but this guy, 1988. Unfortunately, it took a fall, and unlike anything I've ever seen, it's completely made it crack through the heel all the way down almost to the end block, and the other side is basically the same as well, completely cracked open. So this thing is like, wow, hey, I'm a guitar. So this will be fun to try to piece back together. I'm going to start with the heel. I'm just going to tight bond it, just the heel itself, and then I'm going to move on to these side cracks, and I got to figure out exactly what I'm going to do. I might pull some cleats through it, but it lines up really nice and flush, even if you just push it with your hand and push it together. So, you know, nothing went wonky. I kind of humidified it and made sure that things were back where they should be, original. So it might just be a thing where I zap super glue a drop here and there every 3 or 4 inches and slowly zip it up and then reinforce it later. Maybe do super glue for the whole thing and then put some cleats inside later on after it's together. Because my experience with these kind of side cracks is the less you try to force it, the better. If they like to just kind of fall right back together again, as these do, it's just easier almost to glue it, you know, by hand and clamp it very lightly and just tack it back together, and then reinforce it later. But I might have to pull a few cleats through, just to kind of get it together, and then add more cleats in between, to kind of reinforce it. But I think right now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start gluing this heel and just clamp that together. Then I'm going to work on the sides one at a time. I think you have to kind of, sometimes when you get these big repairs, you know, you have to kind of try to break it up into pieces if you can. The problem is, of course, we got a whole crack on one side and a whole crack on the other. So it gets kind of tricky to do it in pieces when you have a single crack. So that's why I might just zap it with super glue, and then come back and do the whole thing and reinforce it later. Because you don't have much time to mess around with it. And if you do half the crack, then that's together, then you got to do the other half. It can be done sometimes, but it gets tricky. So this is one I've never seen before, like this bad. So all I'm going to do is brush some tight bond in there, open this thing up, and clamp it back down for now. That'll be a quick glue up on the heel where it cracked, and it's got a Spanish heel on this one. It's very traditional Spanish guitar. So all the way through on the inside. So I'm just gonna do that for now, and then I'm gonna start doing the sides, so we'll see. All right, I just opened that up and brush some glue, a little brush, and just on the heel itself, a little bit of the side crack, maybe an inch or so out from it. But once we get out here, it starts opening up again, so I'll be able to work on it individually, but I just wanted to get that heel part glued back together, and it all falls right back to where it went. So there was nothing, you know, all I have to do is give it a couple clamps on the outside of the heel here, and then over the body with this cam clamp on that Spanish heel to get that pressure on both sides of the inside and out, and it all went back nice and tight. All right, so I got the heel glued up, went back fine. It's all good, and like I said, I kind of glued some of the side crack up a couple inches or so, but now I got to do this whole crack all the way around about right about here. So so it all kind of sits back together pretty nice, which is good. So if I can do the whole thing, I think I'm just going to tight bond it. Gives me a little time to work, and I'm going to pull cleats. I've got my cleats set up here. So I usually use some like B string, something not, you know, thin, but not like, you know, 9s or 10s, something like a 12 or a 13, something isn't going to snap on me. So I got the ball end here. I make these little blocks to kind of take up the room for you know, the wind around the string, so I'm not pulling that through. And I got these little rosewood cleats that I've made, little diamonds with the hole that I drilled through them. So this is an old trick, you may have seen it before. So I got 4 of them. That's about all I can do at once, so without going totally nuts. And then I can add more reinforcements in between them after I get it together, but that should be enough. Where I got these pieces of tape, that's my string coming through that I bent over. I took a drill with a really small little bit and just put tiny little holes in, which I can fill later with a little bit of, you know, just wood filler. But that helps. Sometimes you can just pull the string through, but sometimes that string will just get in your way of getting that crack right back together again. Or sometimes the crack is a little bit on an angle, you know, and it'll make it go cattywampus on you. So I like to drill a little bitty hole for that string to freely go through, so the crack will come back together nice and tight without the string getting in the way. So yeah, all I have to do now is open this up, which I can do if I get my hand in here and kind of, you know, squeeze apart the the body, and it opens up. So I should be able to get the glue in there nice and quick. And this is like a one-time, do it all at once kind of thing. But I should be ready to go. So I think I'm ready. Get my clamps ready. Just got some quick grips that I can put it together. It shouldn't take too much pressure. I mean, I just want to pull things back together. Like I said, everything kind of fits as it is without having to force. You know, sometimes the crack gets offset on these things, especially on an old guitar. Sometimes they break and the whole side goes wow, and you really got to pull them back together to get it flush. And sometimes I do that, and I'm using cleat pullers. I made some Lexan with holes in it that I can put my cleat puller on like that, and it'll bend around the guitar, and that'll kind of, I can force things together a little more like that. Some people use magnets. I've used some magnets at times. I don't know, it's tough. You get a lot of stuff going on, magnets and cleat pullers, and things get crazy. So, a little brush, I got some glue that I've watered down a little bit. I just give it a couple little drops. Give it a little more open time. But I gotta get these things, get this thing out of here. Make sure my strings aren't tangled as I try to pull them through here. I'll probably pull this one first and go up the way here. This up in here is really flush, so if I get some glue in there, then I can reinforce it later. But if I put my hand in here and just kind of spread it apart, this crack comes open pretty good. So here we go. And I got a wet rag ready to go. Sometimes just using a finger works pretty good on this stuff. So I can get down in here and get some of that worked in there, that glue down all the way. Last part of that crack that I didn't glue when I did the heel. So this is all plenty of glue on here now. I can little spritz of water to kind of keep the open time going on this stuff. It's dry and hot, you know, in June. So it doesn't have to be perfectly clean, but I'll try to get some of the excess off of there while I can. Okay, so what I want to do is, since I'm not putting a lot of cleats down here on this side, I just want to hand do this and get it. Yeah, see it clicked in there. Once you kind of get things flush, then I can if I put a clamp on it. You just want to be careful if you put too much pressure on it. If the crack has kind of got an angle to it, it might want to skip off when you push a lot of pressure on it. So just enough pressure to put it back together and keep it from skipping. And just feel with my hand, that's nice and tight, that's flush. Okay, that's good. So now I'm gonna pull this cleat, which I believe is this guy, right? Take this off. Which one is it? Come here, you. Yep, there it is. Of course, it's getting tangled up. Take my glue, put some butter up the cleat, and pull her through. Go in there, and maybe if I can feel it, I can tell which way the cleat's going. Ugh, a little too far back there. This is a classical guitar, of course, so might have to cut this, put a cleat puller on it. You know, these are easy to make with an old set of tuners. Kind of give it a bend over. Start pulling. So what I want to do is make sure this end is getting, there we go. Where's my rag? What did I do with it? There it is. So make sure the end here is flush. Come on. So you got to get everything ready to go. Just give it a little bit of pressure just to hold that thing flush. And now I can kind of tighten this up. Just kind of bend that so you get a nice, all right, that's pulling flush. Oh man, don't do that. Just set my rag in the glue. That feels nice and flush where that cleat puller is, so that's good. You know, this is why I use not a super big string, but something semi large, like a B string or something like that. And as I zip this up, I can put clamps on it. Man. Just hold it. Don't want to go crazy with it. I just want to hold it in place so I get a squeeze out. Okay, now we're going to this cleat, which we pull up. That's that one. Tangled, of course, with my other ones. Put some butter on it. This one I should be able to reach in and feel the orientation of it. Sometimes on these you just don't have much of a choice, especially if you're pulling a cleat way back. So I can kind of get in there and feel it now that it's there. Which way that cleat's going. Try to orient it the way I want it. Sort of a diamond fashion. With your that's why this is so much fun. Oh, come on, go in your hole. Okay. Oh, come on. Don't do this to me. This is so nerve-wracking. Okay. And bend and tighten. The other way. I just get them a little bit tight. Gotta get this clamp back on there. Just a little bit. It stayed okay. It didn't get, oh man, this stuff is nerve-wracking. Just trying to get this thing flush. Oh, just freaking stop it. Okay, sometimes I have to push from the inside, flush it up, but that's okay. Give it a little bit of a squeeze, and we're good there. Oh, all right. Now we got one more. This is kind of nerve-wracking because we're getting down to it here. I might need to put a clamp on this thing. Okay, this guy needs to be tightened, right? Am I going the right way here? What's going on? Yeah. Cleat puller should help flush those out, but not always. Okay, now this guy needs to come in, so I need to butter it up. Don't have much time. And I was gonna just use some super glue and kind of like a welder, tack weld it. Use this guy. Tack weld it every 3 or 4 inches and then go back with your super glue and do the whole thing. All right. Tighten up, will you? Okay, let's get a little tighter. There we go. That's feeling flush. It's just enough on that cleat puller to get things to be flush on the crack. All right, one left. This looks pretty good. I might have to put a clamp on here just to hold that in place. But let's see here. And more cleat the glue. Butter up, butter up. And get off there, you. Pull it through. Trying to figure out that I got it oriented. Cut these strings because they get a little long. Holding it with my hand. Go through the hole. Please go through the hole. There you go. Bend it over. Yeah, if you really gotta pull something together, sometimes you gotta use a pretty heavy string and really crank it. You just gotta be careful because you get it just about where you think you want it and then snap and the string breaks on you and then you are hosed. So what I might do is I got a couple of long jergies here that I could, this one side just isn't quite flush. If I just give a little pressure, I think it'll be a lot more flush there. Okay, those look good. I just give it just a hair of a pressure, get a little squeeze out. Again, with my finger, just making sure that the crack's as flush as I can get it. Sometimes you'll have a spot. That ain't so great. And I can kind of now give my cleats a little extra tug. Make sure that things aren't. I don't want to pull that, feels bad there. Okay, that seems good. This seems good. This is together. It seems flush. I'm gonna flip this around because it makes me nervous because I'm gonna hit it. Okay, that seems good. I can go inside here with my thumb, especially in this waistline. And just see my jergy clamp there is keeping things just in the waistline. It wanted to get a little off. Everything else looks and feels nice and tight. Might add a couple more here. Give it a little more pressure if I get a little more squeeze out. I don't want to give it too much because I don't want to make the crap, offset itself and you end up with a an offset crack. A little bit of that can be okay, I guess, in spots, especially when you're doing something this big. All right. Well, could have been worse for a crazy long crack. Got one more to do on the other side, pretty much same size, so hopefully he's cool with that. Guy I'm doing this for, he built this guitar. He put a whole new top on it and everything, and I was like, why am I fixing it? You know, he seems like you know what you're doing. But he just didn't want to deal with the side drag. He's like, oh man, I heard these are really hard. Yeah, they're kind of a pain in the ass, that's for sure. Usually they're not this long. Usually they're right here in the bout somewhere, or in the waistline, somewhere in between a couple struts, or but there are no struts in this guitar. So show you what it looks like from this view. You can see the crack there in the glare, but it's nice and flush, so nice and tight. Cleat pullers. So I think, yeah, I just needed this jergy to kind of bring this waistline in and flush it up. It was a little out of whack by the time I got all this stuff kind of done. The waistline was a little off, which isn't too uncommon. Something, you know, by the time you get 3/4 of the crack perfect, and then for some reason, you know, because the wood shrinks or what have you, that it throws something else out at the other end of the crack. So you end up working back, but yep. So looks pretty flush. I don't think I could be too displeased with that. Cool. So yeah, so my bench. I put this here just in case I needed a clamp to go diagonal on it, but I don't think I needed it. I got it back. All right, little guitar, you're almost there. Stage 2 is set. We got one more to go. All right, phase 3 here. Side crack on this side. So the other one went pretty good. Let me show you here. Excuse me. Trying to get a light in here. As you can see, the cleats in there that I pulled. There's one back in there. That one got a little twisted on me, but hard to get them oriented perfectly. So I'm going to go in there and give some. There's another one up there, but crack came really well. There's a little bit of an offset on the waistline, but 95% of it or so is nice and flush, so it came back together tight. This side is basically in the same situation. Put my hand in here and spread it apart. Wow. Yep, so we got a ways to go on this thing, but it all just kind of falls back together nice and even. Yep, like I said, his dad made this years ago and he helped. And it's going to his brother's granddaughter or something like that, so it's going to stay in the family, and which is nice. We'll get her back together, and it can live for many, many, many years. He took it to somebody, and they just like looked at it and handed it right back to him and said, "It ain't worth fixing." To which he was pretty astonished that someone would say that, seeing as how it's fixable, and it was his dad's custom-built guitar that he made with his own hands, and so just to kind of blow him off and say, it ain't worth fixing. It's like, says you, man, this is a good guitar and has a lot of sentimental value and value as a guitar. It sounds really good. It should play wonderfully, and so for someone to say that's pretty lame, actually. I couldn't believe it. I said, well, I'll fix it. It's worth fixing. All right, fun time. See how I can do this without, with the least amount of profanity. So I got my wires into my holes. I bend over the wire 90 degrees, put a little piece of tape on it just so they don't move. Make sure everything's not tangled inside, so when I pull them through, everything's good. Got my glue ready to go, a little bit of water in it just to give it some time. And I go inside with my hand and I spread this thing apart, and we start gluing their crack.
I think it's worked pretty good. So, work it. Got plenty of glue here. I can do a little cleaning here. And as that gets, put a quick grip on it, hold it in place. Okay, got it. So I can pull it up. Might have to go in there, I just want to make sure that the cleat is oriented the way I want it. This takes a little time sometimes, but I can cut this and put a cleat puller on it, hopefully. Go in your hole. There it goes. Cleat puller. You gotta be kidding me, Dragon. Get it in the hole. Put it together. Clamp it through. Oh, you gotta be kidding me, I missed it. One's on the hole. Flip through. This one's kind of tough to figure out. If I got it oriented, I can't get my hand in there far enough. So I hope it sits in a good spot. You know, these are rounded surfaces, so sometimes you gotta kind of round the bottom of your cleat to match. Go in your hole. There you go. Bend that over. Make sure that your crack is flush. Put a quick grip on there and here. Squeeze out. Again, don't work from. I can pass cam clamp some of this up here to get it to. I need just a little more pressure to squeeze this guy together. There we go. Get that just.
All right. Nerve-wracking, but I think it's a success. Just as good as the other side is, so. Right arm. All right. Fun with side cracks. Big, long side cracks. All right, I hope you have as much fun as I did. Show you all the fun we got going on this side. So I did add a clamp there to kind of push that in. Quite the mess. But I think we got things pretty smooth and together, so. Pretty happy overall. Perfection's not totally an option, so 97% is a number I like to go for. And I think we're there. Yeah, quite the crazy contraption. All right, hope for the best. All right, just putting the last couple cleats in to add to it, but the crack repair came out pretty nice. I'm pretty happy with it. The one spot that did get a little offset was right in this waistline. It's just a hair of an offset, but everything else lines up really good. Nice and tight together. I'm adding a couple cleats in there. Hopefully maybe I can show you. I'm gonna have to flip my phone around. Bring it. There's a cleat on that side. So I just drilled a little hole and pulled a cleat through, just add some more. Let me see, hopefully this goes around again. But yeah, and then as far as the crack goes, just as touch up, I just use filler stick, fill it in and wipe it off with naphtha, and yeah, it just kind of puts some color into it and it makes it look a little better, feels a little smoother. But pretty happy with it. So the other side came out even a little better. It didn't have my waistline was smooth and lined up over there, so that's the one spot that was a little off. Everything else is really flush and smooth and looks good. So pretty happy with this repair, and hopefully he will be too. I think he will. And we'll get some strings on her.